Okay, we're going to start now with reciting the Namo Tassa and Three Refuges for those who like to. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dhammang saranang gacchami, Sanghang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami. So welcome, friends, to this Wednesday evening Dhamma discussion and meditation. And the topic of this week we are reviewing is the topic of the 5 spiritual faculties. Now, 5 spiritual faculties is a specific group of mental factors that are key, that form the framework and the progression of the practice of Dhamma. Now, we all know about the Noble Eightfold Path, of course. Those are the 8 steps, and some of these spiritual faculties are, also the same steps of the Eightfold Path. So I'm going to go over these, and I hope you had a chance to listen to the pre-recorded talk on the subject that I sent out the links to. But they're called the spiritual faculties because a faculty, the way I like to kind of equate that is, you have faculty members when you're studying in college or the university, right? So let's say you're studying for a bachelor's degree or a master's degree or a PhD. You have a faculty member. And that faculty member, you consult with them. They give you guidelines and suggestions of how to develop your research and to kind of keep it on track so it develops in a way that will be successful in your research and also in your final dissertations and so on. I mean, I've never really done that myself. I didn't make it that high through university, but so the first of these spiritual faculties is faith, or the Pali word is saddha. It means faith or confidence. So this is not a blind faith, but it does entail having faith in the Dhamma. And specifically, it's having faith in the Buddha as being the enlightened teacher, that we can have faith and inspiration from the Buddha's own life and the trials and tribulations that he himself had gone through over even many lifetimes as a bodhisattva. so we can get inspiration from that. But basically, it's his Dhamma. So, but because the Buddha taught the Dhamma, that it's really the Dhamma that we practice. So we have to have faith in the Dhamma. But if you don't have faith in the Buddha as being awakened and has expounded the Dhamma well, then we may not, have that faith in the Dhamma, or we may have a little bit, but as I will mention later. So anyway, the faith is usually based around having faith in the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. So that's similar to, let's say, if you have to undergo an operation, let's say you have an illness and you have some suffering, some problems. And so you go to a doctor, somebody recommends a good doctor. Oh, I had a similar thing and I went to this doctor and they're really good. And, so by word of mouth, you say, okay, I'll go check them out. And so you go there and listen to the doctor's explanation and other things. And you kind of gain, I think this doctor knows what he's talking about, okay. And so you start to then do what he prescribes, whether change of diet or certain types of vitamins or medications, right? So you're starting to take the Dhamma. So the Buddha is sort of like the doctor, and the medicine is like the Dhamma. The prescriptions and the medicine is like the Dhamma. And let's say you go to the hospital, and the doctor comes around and checks on you with the nurses. They're the ones that really see you, kind of throughout the day and making sure you take your medicines on rightly. They're checking your blood pressure. They're paying more attention to you because the doctors, they have a lot of other patients. So anyway, the Sangha is sort of like the nurses, that guide people. If you don't have access to somebody like the Buddha, then the Sangha, other spiritual practitioners, they are, help to guide you also. So this is the initial faith in the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. If we don't have that, then probably we're not going to get the motivation to really practice. So, and so in the beginning, the faith, you have to have a little bit of acceptance, okay? Because we don't know ourselves if the Buddha was fully enlightened, or, we hear these things, aspects about Dhamma and about attaining jhanas and the 4 stages of enlightenment, and, it sounds okay, but, because we might be influenced by other religious teachings or other people that, might have their opinions. But anyway, so that sort of intellectual faith gets us started anyway. It gets us started to practice. So we practice the Dhamma. That means we practice the Eightfold Path, basically. And as we practice, though, we start to notice some good aspects of effects of that in our life. As we start to observe precepts, for example, we give up alcohol, maybe stop watching so much exciting entertainments, and of course practicing the meditation. So and then as we see some good benefits from that, then that faith gets a little bit stronger. It's not become only intellectual anymore. It becomes, we're having confidence that these things work. We're gaining the confidence. So another translation of faith would be the confidence that the actual Dhamma works. So it's the actual Dhamma that's working. The Buddha and the Sangha are the ones that just help to guide us and give us inspiration, that there are others like us who, have made, progress and, overcome a lot of their problems. So that's the faith. Now, as we are practicing gaining faith, also we get energy from that, especially when you start to get some little effects of, practicing meditation. And then you see, of course, when you start to meditate and you realize, oh, these hindrances I have, and you see, yeah, these hindrances are due to my not following the precepts very well, worrying about sleeping with somebody else's husband or wife, or, intoxicating the mind, doing foolish things, telling lies. We can see that as we practice the sila, our mind gets a little bit less free from guilt, worry, remorse, and fear. When we sit down to meditate, we can see how the hindrances are not so strong. So we get a deeper faith from that. And then finally, the deeper levels of faith is when actually you enter the stream through your practice of the Dhamma, and you actually attain that level of entering the stream, the first level of enlightenment. Then that becomes unshakable faith. So these three levels of faith, let's call it the intellectual level, the level of experience, and then finally this deep, unshakable faith. And so each of those levels helps to solidify and motivate your practice, even though sometimes you might not feel like meditating, but if you have contact with Sangha, which may not only be monks or nuns, it could be other lay practitioners that and groups that you might go to also. So that could also be considered a sort of in the larger Sangha. Now, so that energy, and that energy is of the four efforts. So energy is one of the steps of the Eightfold Path. Faith wasn't necessarily one of the steps of the Eightfold Path. But the energy, of course, is part of energy, mindfulness, concentration, the later stages. So it basically has an energy to practice. If you get a little bit of benefit from the Dhamma, then naturally you think, well, if I practice a little bit more, maybe I'll get more benefit. And so it works like that. And it's basically the energy to practice. But what you are actually practicing is abandoning the unwholesome states that come to you and consciously developing the more wholesome states that you may not yet have developed, like in order to overcome your laziness or other things. That energy to get up in the morning and, for example, and maybe do a little bit of yoga exercise and meditate in the morning. When you feel lazy, that energy helps. No, I'm going to get up. I get more benefit from 30 minutes meditation than sleeping an extra 15 minutes. So, you got to reflect on these things and you get that energy. So basically it means the energy to practice and to keep pushing the envelope of one's Dhamma practice. So maybe, in the beginning you meditate once a day, maybe then you boost it up to maybe twice a day. And then maybe you go on once a month, you go on a DOM, for example, a day of mindfulness. Then after some time you go on a weekend retreat, and then you go on a 3 or 4 day retreat. And, after maybe a year or two, you try 10-day retreats, as you talk to others and seeing how, yeah, it's really good, go on this 10-day retreat. And so it's that energy, building up that energy and commitment to practice. But that is due to the faith. And then the energy is to be mindful, because, that's the meditation practice. So the third spiritual faculty is the mindfulness. So faith, energy, actually, mindfulness. So we already talked about mindfulness, plenty. So I think no need to go into that too much. But it's the mindfulness that helps you to gain the concentration. And we've talked a lot about that. So mindfulness and then concentration and wisdom. So the last three spiritual faculties are mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. And you have to be mindful to gain concentration, because you have to weaken the 5 hindrances. You have to be mindful when any of the hindrances are coming up in your meditation. You have to be mindful so you can apply the right effort, the energy to drive that, overcome that sleepiness, overcome that sensual desire, overcome that ill will, overcome those doubts and restlessness. The mind, that's why mindfulness precedes concentration in all the different lists of mental factors that you encounter in your study of the Dhamma. So we're actually practicing mindfulness, and that helps us to not have so many distractions. And that helps us to remain focused, so we actually gain the concentration. Now, that concentration means the concentration to overcome the hindrances. So ideally, it's going to result in at least attaining the first jhana level of concentration. It can also mean momentary concentration or even access concentration. But it means through the practice of mindfulness, you're able to stay with the breathing or the body or whatever topic of concentration you've been using. But because, of course, in our practice, we're using the breathing and the posture and the sensations primarily as, the main focus of the present moment awareness, and to weaken the hindrances. So it's like the concentration is like turning up the power of a microscope. And you see more and more details of the object of your concentration, as well as you get tuned in to that vibration of the present moment awareness. And then because of that, because of the mindfulness and the concentration, I've often mentioned this little formula that I have about mindfulness plus concentration equals vipassana. And vipassana is the way for developing the wisdom. Vipassana really is kind of the starting point of wisdom. That means you're starting to see impermanence more clearly. You're starting to see the suffering that's inherent in grasping and clinging and being too much dependent on sensual desires and so on for your happiness. So you're gaining that understanding, that wisdom into the 3 characteristics of anicca, dukkha, and anatta. So these comprise the wisdom within the Buddha's teaching. And the deepest level of wisdom, of course, is seeing the ultimate no-self nature of the consciousness, or it sees the impermanence and the emptiness of those 5 aggregates of clinging. So that's really the focus of the wisdom, in that progression of mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. We're being mindful of the 5 aggregates as they arise and pass away. We're learning how to let go of the hindrances. We're developing concentration. That means we're seeing more and more subtle details and the interaction between the body-mind process. And that gives us, eventually, the light of wisdom dawns in the mind. And wisdom is basically the insights, the kind of the aha moments. That's what suffering is. You kind of see it in a new light, even just for a flash of a couple seconds. It was kind of some kind of opening, and you get a glimpse of kind of emptiness, like there was no I there for a moment, And so these are very important insights. And that is the wisdom. That's the accumulative wisdom. But in the deepest sense, that wisdom is comes to fulfillment in entering the stream, in having that full glimpse of the Ananta. So anyway, this is how those 5 spiritual faculties, and they have to be balanced because they can become unbalanced. So I'm going to talk about the balancing of these spiritual faculties. So faith and wisdom are kind of paired up. And energy and concentration are kind of paired up. You could say they're kind of the opposites. They're not really the opposites, but they form a kind of a pair. And hopefully it'll become clear as I describe this. So if a person has a lot of faith, now there's a lot of people in the Buddhist countries who, they call themselves a born Buddhist. That means you're born up in a Buddhist family and you're taught from a very young age. They go to the temple and they light flowers and they recite the qualities of the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, and they have a lot of faith. But they may not meditate very much, and they may not even have a strong intellectual understanding of the teachings, at least when they're younger, because they go to the temples and they perform various rites and rituals. They do the danas, they do and all these things that they learn. And so they have a lot of faith, but they might not have wisdom. So sometimes it could be a little bit unbalanced, or it's too much. They get down and they bow at every monk that comes by. They get down the bow and they want to touch their feet, or they overemphasize this, or they spend a lot of time, picking flowers and offering the flowers and doing all these beautiful things, which are well and good. And I'm not saying, knocking those things, but they may not meditate. So that's where it can get a little bit unbalanced. Now, other people, especially Westerners, who hear about the Dhamma, and they hear some teachings that the Buddha didn't say to believe in anything and just meditate, and they have this idea, and so they just want to meditate and gain concentration, and they hear about the wonderful, the jhanas or the other experiences of bliss and happiness that may come through meditation. So they may get too much lost in the meditation, then they get angry if somebody interrupts their meditation, and so on. And it can be kind of hard, just listen. No, we don't need anybody. We don't need monks. We don't need anybody. Just meditate. The Buddha said, just meditate. And, they may gain some experience, no doubt, but still it can get a little bit sometimes hard. And they may look down on people that are just faith-oriented people. A little bit of pride could come that, they're meditating. So anyway, these two need to be balanced so that the mind doesn't become too much. It can also become an ego can be attached to, I can attain jhanas and these people can't, and so on. So the faith helps to soften up that any rigid hardness that could be in the mind because of this sort of dry, what might be called dry wisdom. Anyway, so those two, faith and wisdom, help to balance each other's out. And I know I had that experience too when I started meditating. I just wanted to meditate. I'm going to a Vipassana retreat. And I went to Kendo Bodha Meditation Center for 3 weeks, and I'd gone to a 10-day Goenka course before that. It was just meditate, get these samadhis, get this. And, it was kind of this wisdom focus. But then as I was walking around the meditation center, we had to do slow walking meditation center around this block of kutis. And at the end of that block of kutis, there was a shrine room with a Buddha image in there, and the monks and other people used to come in there daily with nice fresh flowers. And, and I was doing my walking meditation. And first I'd looked in there and I said, oh, no, I shouldn't go in there. But then after a couple of times, I was walking slowly and I don't know, something kind of pulled me in there. And so I went in there and I sat and I just looked at the Buddha, and even like these mudras that you see on the Buddha image here, and, think about the Buddha's life. I started to, tears come to my eyes at, such an enlightened being like that, and kind of reflecting on the life. And so I began to really like that. And every time I went around, I would stop and sometimes spend 10, 15 minutes, sometimes longer in there, just, absorbing that atmosphere, that kind of, and reflecting on the Buddha's life and the Dhamma, not just only concentration. Let everything go. So I balanced that, and I found out that it had a good effect on me. And after the 3 weeks of that retreat, my meditation, deepened very much. And I don't know if it was because of that, but anyway, I'm just saying that to illustrate how that the faith and the wisdom need to be balanced, at least for many people. If you find your meditation practice being kind of losing that pizzazz or something like that, it may be because the faith aspect is not strong enough. Okay, so especially if your meditation isn't going as fast or as deep as you want to, then we have to come back and we have to check our practice and see what maybe needs to be adjusted to kind of get it back on track, right? That's why these are called spiritual faculties. They help keep our mind on the track. So now the other two, the energy and the concentration. In the same way, if you're just practicing to attain the jhanas and you just want to concentrate, sometimes you can attain a deep state of concentration and tranquility, but the mind gets stuck in that. And it just wants to feel those extremely blissful sensations that you read about, the descriptions of the first jhana and the second jhana, and all these, blissful descriptions that we have, or maybe even the psychic powers that might come from attaining the fourth jhanas. And so, a person might get stuck in that tranquility, or even just get stuck in the tranquility and not want to come out and then develop the wisdom. So you've got to get the energy, not to get stuck in the tranquility. That's the main thing. The effort, you have to play the right effort, not to get too stuck in the tranquility only, but use that to develop the insight that then is going to lead to the wisdom. So people that have too much energy, then they should meditate more. If you find yourself too much energy, then you should do more concentration to make the mind tranquil. But if the mind becomes too tranquil, then you should waken it up with more investigation. Investigating in terms of, the Dhammanupassana, the investigating the five aggregates, the sixfold sense spheres, and developing the anicca sanya, and so on. So to that energy of the mind in that way of developing wisdom. So if there's too much concentration, tranquility, the mind can kind of stagnate. But if there's too much energy and not enough concentration, then the mind could become also a bit scattered and not to go deep, much more deeper, right? So it's like the same thing with a scientist conducting an experiment. So, the scientists, the energy, to make insights and so on, helps to, like turn up the power of the microscope. the efforts that he's making. Helps to, is like turning up the power of a microscope, and he sees more and more details within his mind about anicca, dukkha, and anatta. So, and that gives him even more energy to want to keep going. So they might be able to, you could go on meditating for hours and hours because you're getting this energy that's coming out of, seeing something around the next corner. Maybe 5 minutes later, 5 minutes more, maybe 5 minutes more. You keep seeing something new, another insight. And that's the energy that keeps you going to develop that concentration. Okay, now the mindfulness is what balances them. So it's the mindfulness that's in the middle between the faith and the wisdom. The mindfulness will tell you when it's becoming unbalanced. And so it's that mindfulness that then helps to come back and get them balanced. In the same way with the energy and the concentration, it's the mindfulness that helps you to understand when those are getting imbalanced and to come back and try to balance them. So that's what I wanted to share with you basically in this practice. And so really, the whole Noble Eightfold Path is about developing these spiritual faculties. And of course, we saw that 3 of them are in fact the 6th, 7th, and 8th factors of the Eightfold Path: energy, mindfulness, and concentration. So now I would like to open it up to any questions that any of you might have. I didn't receive any questions by email. So if any of you, it doesn't look like there's anybody was writing any questions down in the chat room.
Bhante, I have a question.
Yes.
You mentioned the word excess concentration. What do you mean by that?
Excess concentration. Okay. It means it's not full absorbed concentration, but it's getting that way. It means all the 5 hindrances aren't completely stilled, and they're still coming up from time to time, but you have a good enough mindfulness not to spend a lot of time lost in those hindrances. And basically they're kind of just coming and going. You're still getting sometimes little nimittas, or you're feeling the bliss, a little bit of the piti and the sukha. It's starting to come up, but it's not like fully yet, So it's called access concentration. And then in the before access concentration, there's also something called momentary concentration, which is the ability to note things from moment to moment, and then to be able to let go of them. And then that is the way that you're able to gain the access concentration, is through the mindfulness and letting go of the hindrances. So usually they're developed in that order: momentary concentration, although there are some differences there. Momentary concentration itself can be developed when you're practicing the vipassana meditation. You're developing more the momentary concentration. Whereas if you're developing more just the samadhi, then you're keeping the mind focused more or less on the object of your concentration, such as the breathing or just the body, and not going too much into trying to note, be aware of the various sounds and thoughts coming and going. So there are some differences, but basically the access concentration means you're about halfway there to full concentration. Does that answer your question?
Bhante, I thought that excess concentration means too much concentration.
No, that's excess concentration, not access concentration. The term is access, ACCESS, not excess concentration.
Oh, I see.
You
Okay.
misunderstood the pronunciation.
Okay. I thought you meant EXESS.
No, it's access,
Okay. Got it.
which is called upachara samadhi. Upachara means it's approaching.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Looks like we have a question in the chat box. Okay, here's a question from the chat box. Is energy the same as right effort? Basically, yes. Energy and right effort. But energy basically is the energy to practice. But what are we practicing? Well, we're practicing, to overcome laziness. So the effort to get up in the morning and meditate, you could say that that's the effort to overcome unwholesome states of mind. So laziness would be considered an unwholesome state of mind for somebody who's really developed, wants to meditate. So yes, just for basic, all intents and purposes, that energy and right effort is the same. Although they have different Pali terms, like the samavayama is called the right effort or energy. Virya is the word for energy, but samavayama is the right effort, is the Pali word for right effort, samavayama. But the word for it, just energy itself, is virya. So,
Bhante, the word virya in Hindi means warrior.
A warrior, vira, it might come from virya.
Right.
Vira is a victor, but to be victorious, you have to put out energy, right?
Right.
You're not going to be a victor in anything unless you put out a lot of energy, especially in a battle. So,
Right.
I think it comes from the same root word.
Right. Like we have the yoga pose, the warrior pose.
Yeah, the warrior pose, yeah.
Right.
But that's called vira asana. It's not called virya. It's called vira.
Virasana.
As far as I learned it, yeah, vira asana.
Yeah, but it basically it means the same thing. Virya or Vira, it's the same. In Hindi, it means the same thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of words that kind of mean the same thing too, but the Buddhists sometimes have a slightly different twist. Like even the word Dhamma, Dharma in yoga,
Yeah.
is one way, but in Dhamma it's more specific to being the teachings of the Buddha. Whereas Dharma sort of means your duty, and so on. But there are similarities to that.
Right. You see, when you mentioned the word, when you started the first spiritual faculty, you said, which was faith. Faith.
Shraddha and
Shraddha. You see, Shraddha is also, Shraddha means the same thing in Hindi too. Shraddha is faith.
Yeah, these words are very similar in Sanskrit and Pali. They're very, very close.
And Hindi, right.
Okay, this next question says, does the concentration enable us to see objects around us with more clarity? Thank you for your teaching. Anyway, it's not the concentration is usually active within the meditation. Okay, so when we meditate is when you are gaining concentration when you're meditating. So you're not necessarily practicing concentration when you're walking around and just doing your normal daily work. For that, we use mindfulness and wisdom. But in order to gain wisdom, the concentration is important. So the concentration enables you to see objects within our own body and mind more clarity, so that you're seeing like under a microscope, as I mentioned. You're seeing how feeling, perception, volition, and are interacting, and how the mind is, the feelings trigger off our thoughts, and the thoughts trigger off emotions, and how the contact that helps you to see dependent origination. So the concentration really is done in the meditation itself in order to see the more clarity of the consciousness, and of the the impermanence and so on. But when you come out of that, the wisdom that you gain while in the meditation helps you to to be more careful in the midst of your daily life. And so therefore the mindfulness, and then the intellectual and reflective wisdom that you gain in the meditation, then coupled with the mindfulness, that allows you to have more clarity in your daily life as you're going around and so on. But it also entails some concentration, but not to the point of gaining jhanic level of concentration or even access concentration. These are normally achieved while sitting, doing more intensive practice, like an intense slow walking meditation or the sitting meditation. Okay, this next question. How to notice or practice vipassana meditation? Well, go back and listen to, many talks that I've been giving on the subject. And even in these guided meditations that I give at the end of these Wednesday night programs, that is how to basically begin practicing the vipassana meditation. But it requires mindfulness. And so mindfulness and concentration. But that's the form of meditation that generally I guide people through when I'm teaching, because to me that's the most important aspect about the meditation. But it doesn't mean you're not developing concentration also. That's why usually in every meditation we start with observing the breath, counting the breaths from 1 to 10. If you can count your breaths from 1 to 10 without getting lost in the counting and having to start again at 1, you would probably be in access concentration. But you have to be able to do it on your own and not just follow my counting. But, if you can really do it on your own and develop that, or even count from 1 to 10 2 or 3 times, then you would probably have enough concentration to start practicing momentary concentration and vipassana. Mindfulness brings the data under observation, and concentration allows us to see objects with more details. Is this correct? Pretty much. Yes, that's pretty much. There's a simile giving in the Visuddhimagga about mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. Let's say a farmer out in the field, and his wheat or rice is ready to be harvested. So he goes out to a specific part of the field, and he kind of, with both of his hands, he pushes a bunch of stalks together and holds them, so the wind's not blowing them around, right? So the mindfulness is like allows the mind to gather those 15 or 20 or more stalks, individual stalks that are blowing around. He gathers them and holds them with the hand. And that holding them with the hand so they don't blow around is the concentration. And then with the other hand, he gets his sharp knife or his sickle, and he brings that sickle down underneath where he's holding the stalks. He cuts through the stalks with that knife, and those stalks become detached from the roots, and then he has them. So that's a simile that even the Buddha gave to explain these things. So mindfulness is it gathers the things together, and in that gathering them together, they become more focused and concentrated, and then because of that, the wisdom then can cut off the defilements or the particular attachments to them. All right. Okay, friends. So I think those are very good questions, and I hope I could answer them satisfactorily. But it's only through your own continued practice that you, for yourself, will start to understand these things. And so that's why usually in all these talks, I usually never give Dhamma talks without doing meditation afterwards, because to me, that's the way you develop understanding, is you have to contemplate when it's fresh in your mind. You have to do the contemplation, not just say, oh, I heard a Dhamma talk, and then, go off. No, you sit and you meditate then. Okay? So let's go ahead and take a few minutes break, and then we'll come back, do a few yoga stretches, and then have our meditation practice. Okay? Friends, so try to stand straight. Just relax your arms and hands at the side. Gently close your eyes. Try to feel your eyes in the sockets. That point behind the eyes, feel the outline of the standing body. Just generally sense the feet pressing the floor, arms and hands at the side, head balanced on top. Then begin some deep, slow breathing. Take 3 or 4 seconds to expand the abdomen, rib cage, and upper chest. Bring the air into the upper chest. Hold the air in 2 or 3 seconds, and return to the starting point. On the out breath, feel the last bit of air go out of the lungs. Just take several more deep, slow breaths like that. Oxygenate the body. It's cultivating this mindfulness. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, standing here and now. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, standing here and now. Breathing in, letting go of feeling the whole body. Breathing out, feeling the whole body. Now we'll begin this series of exercises, coordinating them with the breathing. You do the movement while breathing in, holding that position 2 or 3 seconds, returning to the starting point. On the out breath, pausing a moment and repeat each one 3 times. With the next in breath, raise the arms over the head, interlock the fingers, turn the palms upward, stretch the head back, stretch upwards at the same time. On the out breath, turn the palms down, touch the top of your head. Next in breath, palms up, straighten the arms, stretch the head back, stretch upward. Out breath, touch the top of it. Once more, third time, hold the upward stretch longer, bend backwards a little bit. Feel the sensation. Release the fingers. The out breath, arms back to the sides. Close the eyes. Keep feeling the body. Feel the feet pressing the floor. Feel the hands and fingers. Feel the subtle increased pulsations, tingling sensations, fingers stretch. Feel the clothing touching the skin on different places. Feel the eyes and the socket. Start to feel the outline of the whole body. Just remember standing, present moment of the body. Letting go of your thoughts, let the thoughts come and go in the back of the mind. Sensations of breathing body in the front of the awareness. On the next in breath, push up on the toes while raising the arms over the head in this way, facing the hands toward each other and stretch out. The out breath, come back down, arms to the side, heels to the floor. Coordinate the movements with the breathing. In breath up, stretch. Out breath. Third time, to hold the upward stretch longer. The breath in the lungs longer. Out breath. Close the eyes. Feel the whole body. Feel the eyes, that point behind the eyes. Feel the outline. The standing body. Feet below, hands in the middle, head on top. Just remember standing. Standing. Now, on the next in breath, lift up on the toes again while raising the arms up front for balance. On the out breath, bend the knees and lower down into the squatting position if you can, balancing on the balls of the feet. Take a deep breath, push back up, feel the muscles in the legs, pushing the body up. On the toe, out breath down. And, out. Third time, try to stay down in the squatting position a little longer. A couple of shorter breaths, squat. When ready, on an in breath, back up. On the toe, out breath, relax. Try to feel the increased heart beating, other sensation. Remember standing, anchoring the concentration, the attention in the body, feeling the subtle sensation, pulsation. Now we do the side bending using both arms. On an in breath, raise both arms up. Keep the fingers and arms straight, close to your head. On the out breath, bend over the right side as far as you comfortably can. Keep the arms parallel to each other like a railroad track. Stretch in the side. In breath, lift up. And on the next out breath, bend over the other side. In. Just keep alternating sides like that. Breathing out. In. Out. In. Once more to each side. Out. In the out breath, lower both arms. Just relax. Mind focused on the body. Feel the increased pulsation, other sensation, some little aches or pain, prickly sensation. Remember standing, standing. Feel the clothing touching the skin, different places. If you now spread the feet apart, wider, better. Pull the arms out, twisting from side to side. Breathe in. On the out breath, twist to the right. Keep your eyes focused on the hand going back. In breath back to the front. Let the feet turn with the body, and then go to the other side. The next out breath. In breath. Keep alternating sides. In out breath. Out. In. Lower the arms, relax. Feel each foot pressing the floor. With the hands and fingers touching the sides of the leg. The clothing touching the skin. With the head balanced on top. Feeling the eyes. Feel that outline of the body exactly as it is. Here and now. Present moment awareness. Now place the hands together at the chest. On the in breath, raise the hands over the head. On the out breath, lower the hands to the chest and bend the knees, lower the body down, feeling the stretch in the knees and the hip. The in breath, all the way up, hands over the head. Out breath. In. Out. Out breath, arms back to the sides. Feeling the whole body, the outline of the body. Clothing touching the skin. Feel the eyes. Be able to feel all these different body sensations, like momentary concentration. And just feel different parts of the body one after the other. Without getting stuck. Where the sensations coming and going. Now, do forward and backward bending, the legs apart. Breathe in. The out breath, bend forward, let the hands come to the knees the first time. Keep the legs straight, try to flatten the spine, keep the hump out of the spine. The head lifted up, looking out straight ahead. In breath, lift up. Move the hands under the buttocks for support. Head go back and backward on the out breath. Keep the eyes open. Not too far the first time. In breath, carefully lift up. In the out breath, second time, let the hands come down below the knees. Feel the extra stretch in the back of the legs. Keep the head up. In breath, lift up. Again, back bend. Bend back a little more. Be careful. In breath, lift up. And the third time, let the hands come down as far as you can toward the feet. Keep the legs straight. Then hold that position longer. And stretch the hamstring muscles. In breath. One more time, the back bend. Just be careful. The eyes open. In breath. On the out breath, just relax. Feel the whole body, each foot pressing the floor, hands touching the leg, clothing touching the skin, head balanced on top, and the legs are in. ability to hold the attention in the body without wandering, concentration, feeling the different sensations, the alert, mindful. Understanding how the body is constantly changing, sensations are changing, it's the start of wisdom, understanding impermanence. Even doing this practice, you're practicing mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. Okay, now bring the legs back together. Just one last simple exercise. Head turning from right to left. On an out breath, turn the head to the right as far as you can. Look over your right shoulder. On the out breath, turn the head 180 degrees back to the left. Look over the left shoulder. Breath back to the right. Concentrate into the neck vertebrae. Out breath left. In breath right. Left. Extend breath, let the head stop in the middle. Just feel the whole body. Just feel the eyes, point behind the eyes. Just feel the outline, silhouette, standing body. Feel all the subtle vibrations, sensations within that silhouette body. Process of impermanence, subtle sensations, pulsations, prickly sensations, millions, billions of cells vibrating, interacting, using vibration, sensation. It's part of the wisdom. When you're calm and focused and mindful, you clearly see that. Feel it. Okay, so now let's come back to our seats and get ready for meditation. Start to sit straight. To align the spine and the back of the head in a straight line. Gently close your eyes. Feel the eyes in the sockets. Feel that point behind the eyes. Try to feel the outline of the sitting body. Generally feel the sense of the head balanced on top, shoulders, the arms at the sides, the clothing touching the chest. Feeling the hands and fingers, buttocks pressing the seat. Feeling the legs and feet underneath, where the feet press the floor, where they're crossed underneath. Start to feel your toes. And just let the awareness kind of move back up through the body to establish that attention behind the eyes again. Just try to hold that outline of the sitting body in the mind's eye, the third eye of awareness. And then begin some deep, slow breathing like we did during the yoga session. Take 2 or 3 seconds to feel that expansion of the abdomen, rib cage, and upper chest, holding the air in for 2 or 3 or 4 seconds. Feel that pause, and then feel the relaxing contractions of the out breath. Try to feel the last bit of air go out of the lung. Just continue to take a few more deep, slow breaths like that, developing this basic mindfulness. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, sitting here and now. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, sitting here and now. Breathing in, feeling the whole body. Breathing out, feeling the whole body. Now we're going to count the breaths from 1 to 10 to try to gain more continuous concentration on the breathing. Try to continue to take some deeper breaths if you can. It helps stay concentrated. With the next expanding in breath, mentally count to 1. Feel the brief pause. With the contracting out breath, also count to 1. Feel the last bit of air go out. The next in breath, 2. Out breath, 2. In 3, out 3, in 4, out 4, in 5, out 5, in 6, out 6, in 7, out 7, in 8, out 8, in 9, out 9, in 10, out 10, now discontinue the counting. Let the breathing return to its uncontrolled or short, irregular rhythm. But continue to feel it. Keep the attention focused there in the middle of the body. Feel the residual expanding and contracting sensations in the abdomen, the rib cage, or chest, wherever you naturally feel it. Try to feel where the clothing rubs against the skin as it's expanding and contracting. Just make that your primary focus, concentrated awareness. Just knowing when the breath is coming in and knowing when the breath is going out. You know it by feeling it. Combination of the mindfulness and concentration. Just over and over and over again. You can make these mental reminders while you're doing this to help stay focused. Just in, sitting. Out, out, sitting. Breath by breath, moment by moment. You can try counting the breaths again from 1 to 10 by yourself. See if you can stay concentrated. If you lose your counting on the way to 10, don't try to guess where you were. Start again counting at 1. It's like a challenge. Try not to let your mind wander, drift off. In, sitting. Out, out, sitting. You're counting the breaths from 1 to 10, or just maintaining that moment to moment attention. In, sitting. Out, out, sitting. Whichever helps you to stay focused, concentrated. Being aware of any hindrances arising. Try to notice the 4 phases of each breath cycle. The sensations of the incoming breath, the brief pause. The sensations of the outgoing breath and the brief pause. In, sitting. Out, out, sitting. Balancing mindfulness and concentration. Concentration is the constant connection to the breathing body. Mindfulness is being alert for wandering thoughts or sleepiness or any other hindrance. This breathing process is going on within this larger sitting body. The concentration is continuing to feel the breathing process. The mindfulness is noticing different sensations coming and going within that breathing body. Or any thoughts coming and going. Mindfulness of the for hindrances of thoughts, whether distractions, help you to stay concentrated. And the mind becomes more concentrated with less wandering thoughts or distraction. You can see more clearly detailed sensations, the thoughts arising and vanishing, coming and going. That's the wisdom of impermanence. Keep turning up the power of the mental microscope, concentrated awareness. Notice more and subtler detailed sensation in the breathing body process. If the mind is calm enough, you can try to identify or contemplate the five aggregates. These are material vibrations. This is pleasure or pain. These are perceptions, mental images, or thought formation. These are volitional formation, urges, desires. Wanting. This is the ego consciousness, any thoughts of I, me, or mine. They're always changing. It's the impermanent. Wisdom of impermanence. Breathing in, sitting. Breathing out, sitting. So many different sensations come and go. Pleasure or pain come and go. Sounds come and go. Perceptions, recognizing things come and go. Thoughts, memories, emotions come and go. Thoughts of I, me, or mine come and go. These are all just a continuous flow and flux and change of the five aggregates, arising and passing away, arising and vanishing with the different contexts in the flow of impermanence. Just underneath all of that change or pain, mental confusion, is the parallel dimension, the present moment awareness. Represented by the breathing body. This breathing body, the subtle breathing body, is that natural connection. The present moment awareness, the vibration of now, the here and now. If we lose that connection to the present moment, to the breathing body, then the mind gets easily distracted and carried away. Thoughts of the past or future, attachment, aversions, worry, fear. This breathing body, the present moment awareness is the lifeline, the life preserver, the present moment, which is also the mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. Cultivating the powers of mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom tunes the mind back into the present moment. You experience those subtle, pleasant sensations, blissful sensations of body and mind. It is the beginning of access concentration, the continuing of momentary concentration.
Very slow. Right? Then
So what thoughts arise based on that sound vibration?
this is so beautiful. Look at the light.
Sabbi sankhara anicchati yada panyaya pasati atanibindati dukhi Yesamaggo visuddhiya dukkhappata ca nidukkha bhayappata ca nibbaya sokappata ca nisokha Ontu sabbi pipanino. All conditioned things, the five aggregates of this body, mind, and world are impermanent. They arise only to briefly last and then vanish. When one sees this with the eye of wisdom, one becomes disenchanted with suffering. This is the path to purity, to freedom. And may the suffering be free from suffering. May the fear-struck be free from fear. May the grieving be free from grief. In this way, may all beings live with mindfulness and wisdom. Thus spoke the Buddha. Now, friends, I invite you to join in chanting the word sadhu 3 times slowly. We do the chanting on a long out breath, feeling those vibrations in the body and mind. And take a deep in breath. Sadhu. Now place the hands at the edge of your knees. And take one more deep breath as you breathe in. Stretch the head back, pull the hand against the knees to arch the spine. Lift the head up on an in breath, and on the out breath, press the chin to the top of the chest to stretch the neck vertebrae. And breathe in, lifting the chin up level to the floor. And on an out breath, just put a smile on your face. So, friends, so this brings our evening Dhamma discussion and meditation to an end. But as I always say, mindfulness should never end. Remember that mindfulness a day keeps dukkha away. That means doing the M&Ms throughout the day can help keep the mind from getting overly upset or disturbed by whatever happens up during the day, to keep that mindfulness up to par so you can be aware of any negative feelings arising, thoughts, able to relax around them, relax the body. Okay, so wish you all the best, and see you next week, perhaps. Okay?
Okay.
Those M&Ms really work.
Yeah, that's
Bye.
right. They're small, short, but sweet.
Thank you,
Thank
Bhante.
you, Bhante.
You're all very welcome.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you,
Bhante.
Bhante. Good night.
Good
night.
Thank you so much,
Everybody.
Manda.
Namo Buddhaya.
Sorry I missed.
Namo
I did
Buddhaya.
miss,
Good day.
Namaste.
feel great now that I got here. It's good to see you.